Keith. Yeah, I'm here with Stuart, and we were just mentioning, obviously we're not expecting to see you back here. We know you can do better than this. Are you getting to grips with it?
Well, not at the minute. No, it's really struggling at the minute. But I'm just keep trying and keep plugging away. And my confidence is really low, and we're not having much luck. Everything's going against us. But just keep trying and see what happens.
Yeah, Keith and Neil was saying, you know, confidence is one of those things that comes and goes, and you just got to keep out there and battling it and seeing it'll come back, yeah?
That's right. I've raced long enough now to know that, I mean, I've been through things like this before, but not as bad as this, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm going to keep trying. I want to be a bike racer. It's all I want to do, so I'll try my best.
Hey, well, listen, we're all behind you. Best of luck and keep your head down, mate.
Cheers.
So there you go, you got it right from the horse's mouth. Stuart obviously not particularly pleased with things, and it's just one of those things with races. I think we don't give them credit for how much they're on the edge sometimes, and it is a confidence game, and if you lose it, well, you really can't throw these rockets around this grid or around a track, especially with the competition. I'm walking right through the grid here. I want to get up to see Michael Rutter if I can, because time is running short, and also if I can get a quick word with also Dean Thomas as well. I can see Dean Thomas out the corner of my eye, so I'll have a quick word with him first off, and then we'll see if we can get the blade. He's having his photo taken. Two gorgeous women, they're on the phone. Not now, girls. Right, hang on, Dino. Concentrate for a moment. How about the race, and is your race set up better for race 2?
Well, we've changed a lot. I mean, we've changed a lot with the rear suspension, to be honest. Something we haven't tried all weekend, really, but we're there for the first 5 or 6 laps. It's not a problem at all. It's just straight after that, you know, it's just starting to tear the tyre up, and we gradually just start to drop off. So we've made a pretty drastic change, you know, to see. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing again. So who knows? It might work.
You never know. Mondello is a strange place.
You're not wrong, mate.
Let's move on. Let's have a quick word with John, and I feel terrible about having to interview him between races, but let's put aside race 1. How about race 2? Have you made any changes? You said you weren't going to.
No, absolutely not. No, the bike's working really well, so we're just going to stick with what we've got at the moment.
I said before the race on Sunday morning, or yesterday, that not an easy way to get a start here. You've got to get across as soon as you can to that inside.
Yeah, it's quite easy to get pushed out into the first turn, and that happened on the first race this morning. So we're conscious of that. Just want to try and get a good start, make the first 20 yards count, and go from there.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. Let's see if Michael Rutter can have a quick word with him. Michael, got to ask, what happened? We didn't see you after the end of the race. And first of all, I know you finished. I don't know if you did pick up any points. What happened? Tell us what happened.
I just seen the time coming down, and I just tried to keep my pace about the 41 mark. Really, I just tried too hard, and it just spun round on me, and I-sided me. My own fault.
A bit like Carl Harris, though. You got back up. Did you get some points?
I don't think so. I tried, but I mean, I think they've disallowed them or something.
Physically, you're okay, though?
Yeah, just a bit battered around and whatever. I mean, all right. I'm okay.
It's amazing. There's ups and downs of racing, isn't it? 1 minute you're at the Northwest and you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then now you're down the dirt here in Mondello.
Yeah, that's racing. It happens like that sometimes, but, you know, keep going on.
Yeah, best of luck in the next one. In pole position, he too has got to get across. Let's move back a bit, and let's see if we can go back to Glenn Richards. I'd like to have a quick word with him. And I'll see if he remembers what he said to me yesterday. Now, you said to me yesterday over dinner that you were looking ahead. The one thing you were going to avoid was the bike in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, the Honda's obviously a good motorbike when they get the clutch out, but the rest of the time it's not a very good motorbike. But quite amazingly then, it got off the line. That's the first time all year. So I was dreading being behind it, but there wasn't a problem then. So let's see if we can do a better job in this race. I've chosen a different tyre, so fingers crossed.
What I like about you and Scotty, you've got a great rivalry, you're good friends, but I know that now you really want to beat him, don't you?
Oh, it's not getting any better, I'll tell you. Otherwise, I'm going to have to listen to it all the way to Thruxton.
Well, listen, best of luck.
Thanks, thanks.
Let's see if we can have a quick word with Sean Emmett, who's still just got his helmet off for a moment, and he's right here. Quick, Sean. What about this one? A bit of a struggle in race 1. You were telling me that literally trying to steer the bike through these bends is still quite hard.
Yeah, it's hard work, but I didn't help myself, didn't get a great start, so I'm going to try and get a better start, and I think I can, run up there. So,
have you changed anything?
No, we've left it the same, so we'll see.
All right, we'll let you go. All right, let's see if quickly Tommy Hill sorted his problems out, because he too had a clutch problem, and you're going to go for first gear this time, yeah?
First gear start. Hopefully I'll get off another line quick, and hopefully mix it with them again. That's the plan.
I was going to say, forgetting the clutch, you had a great race last time before the clutch went.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The people I'm battling with and on the line with now, it's where I want to be, and hopefully I can mix it with them in this race.
It's not a bad place to be. Beautiful ladies, nice motorbike, beautiful sunny day. Doesn't beat working for a living, does it?
It's perfect.
You heard it from the horses, Matt. Back to you.
Great start in race 1 today, probably his best start in the series so far this year. It was all for Nout as he picked himself up after a big high side, knocked himself senseless for a minute or two, but has come back round, has been passed fit by the doctors, starts in pole. You can see him far away from your camera. Green flag from the back then. They're about to come under starters' orders now for race 2 of our British Superbike day today here at Mondello Park in Ireland. Who's it going to be? Rolling start. Good start from Rutter. Better start from Scott Smart again. Scott Smart, exactly again. Just puts that front wheel down with a puff of smoke. Scott Smart and Michael Rutter, just as you said.
Look at Yamaha. The Yamaha in second, I think it's Tommy Hill.
Well, that's the Sendo Ducati of Dean Thomas. Didn't make the start, got mired in the middle of it, he's out of the race.
Tommy Hill third.
Rutter and Smart, Tommy Hill and John Reynolds. That is your top 4. So, most of them have made their way through. Rutter then is about to pull away if he can, as he did in race 1. Scott Smart under pressure now from Tommy Hill. I'm sure Tommy Hill, I thought Tommy Hill had gone by Scott Smart for a moment there. There's Glenn Richards, different tyre fitted to the front of his motorcycle, I think, for this race, in 5th place at the moment.
Kageyama has made a very good start, way back there in about 10th.
Yeah, again, Yukio Kageyama off the second row, just not as home here this week as he was last year, if you remember at JR getting it all wrong there. And really, well, that was Dean Thomas being beaten up from the inside and then clipping the rear wheel of another bike. None of his fault, and he was very lucky to get away with that. As in, not get run over after he'd been knocked off, I should say. So, Rutter from Smart, from Tommy Hill. What a start from Tommy Hill. Your think rider of the day, that's just been thrown into disarray, hasn't it, if Tommy does this?
For sure, Tommy Hill did a brilliant job there. Good to see a Yamaha running up there in front of us. Gary Mason was at home, but JR
again,
getting in all sorts of trouble.
Well, JR spinning the rear end of that motorcycle up again and right in front of Glenn Richards. Glenn Richards is going to want to try and put a pass if he can. JR and Glenn Richards going through. Yep, Glenn Richards again under JR, pushes him out over to the dirt.
JR just needs to calm down, settle down, get through these first few laps. Michael Rutter hasn't really pulled the pin like he did in race 1, but JR's definitely rattled.
Well, this really is. He is rattled, and that I think is an understatement. He looked mad, blamed himself completely for losing race 1, but really he's got to settle, hasn't he?
It's Kieran Clark up there in 6th. I think it was Kieran Clark that actually nudged Dean Thomas into turn 1. He didn't get in trouble, he came down the inside, but Kieran Clark's up there in 6th position.
On the Colin Appleyard motorcycle, Rutter, Smart, Hill, Richards, Reynolds. It is Kieran Clark in 6th place. You're absolutely bang on right. Look at Tommy Hill all over the rear end of Scott Smart. Wow, 19 years old, graduate of the Yamaha R6 Cup. I questioned last year whether we could actually trust the R6 Cup to give us top guys to come into Superbike and Super Sport, because we had no yardstick to measure them by. We really didn't know how quick they were going last year. Have I been answered? Have we been answered? Just how good the R6 Cup was at bringing people through.
Sam Cork there.
Yeah, Sam Cork, one of the leading privateers, finds himself in pit lane.
Well,
and again, that was Scott Smart with the rear end of the thing spinning. So we have at the front the Honda. Second place is ZX10 Kawasaki. Then it is the R1 of Tommy Hill. Tommy Hill just growing in stature every time he has an outing.
He looks comfortable, very comfortable.
19 years old, but his style belies really his age for me. I mean, he certainly is a calm, cool, collected character off track, but on track, absolutely does everything right. Got to say, with Steve Plater in here in the commentary position with us, you know, really you guys at the front end of Rob Mack's team took the pressure off Tommy Hill early on. Now that you're all, well, struggling somewhat, he's coming to the fore.
Yeah, without that, you know, I'm sat here full of butterflies. I'm desperate for him to get a really good result. I've been helping him out all year and stuff, or to the best that I possibly can, and to see him up there is fantastic. I just hope he can settle down, and if he just clings on the back of Scott Smart and follows him for a while and just gets in the groove, I'm pretty sure he'll be getting a good result.
Well, you're out for this and the next 2 rounds. Jealousy is something that riders never admit to, but you must be sitting here thinking, seeing Scott Smart win his first race earlier on today at Superbike level, you know you can do it, you know you can beat these guys. Just how hard is it sitting in commentary rather than being out there?
Yeah, it's a big pill to swallow, obviously, but you know, there's nothing taken away from what Scott Smart did in the first race. He earned that fair and square, and JR went to sleep a little bit on the last lap, and he cashed in. But obviously, you know, I want to be out there, especially in this sunshine, doing the business.
JR finally getting himself settled down. He's made the pass on Glenn Richards and moved up a place. Michael Rutter is not out from under pressure of the Hawk Kawasaki of Scott Smart yet. Still Tommy Hill third on bike number 8. Bike number 2 there is John Reynolds, the blue. Riza Suzuki in 4th place. Glenn Richards, the second of the Hawk Kawasaki's, in 5th at the moment. And if we look back, it's Kieran Clark on bike 74 in 6th. James Buckingham again, he's up to 7th place, as he was in race 1 today on the privateer machine that he's got out there. So James Buckingham again being the privateer to watch in the Superbike Cup part of this race. 2 races within a race, full points of course for the Works boys and full points too for the privateers in the Superbike Cup part of it. We'll try and keep you informed as far as that's concerned, but this at the moment is developing into a very, very interesting Superbike race here at Mondello. Michael Rutter unable to ease away from Scott Smart this time. We saw Rutter in race 1 just ease away.
I'm sure he's a bit more cautious this time out.
But, of course, in race 1, they started to reel him back in, as Scott Smart has a bit of a sit-up there, just a wake-up call, a bit of a cold bucket of water being slung at him. Still Rutter from Scott Smart, from Tommy Hill, superb Tommy Hill. John Reynolds in 4th place. Who would have thought Tommy Hill would have been mixing it with what has to be classed as the world's best superbikers? I know this is a British Championship, but really, John Reynolds has proved he is capable of winning at World Superbike level in the past. Michael Rutter is a world-class rider. And Tommy Hill, his first year in Superbikes, right there on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha. And I'm sure he doesn't suffer from being in awe, Tommy Hill, because he's far too cool for that. Another new lap record. Well, that is incredible. We've had new lap records all the way through the weekend. And John Reynolds in 4th. Oh, big one from Tommy. Feet off the foot pegs. Won't worry him too much, but certainly will have woken him up. Tommy Hill then just proving just how hard he's trying on that R1 Yamaha. Still Tommy Hill there, 3rd place. Well, I'll tell you what, the R1 certainly looks at home here at Mondello Park. It is a scratcher's circuit. It'll remain to be seen just how good the motorcycle is when we get to Thruxton. We know it chucks a lot of power out as JR moves up on Tommy Hill. I predict that at Thruxton, the Yamahas will come to their own. Of course, that is the next round. That'll be round 6 in the championship. Meanwhile, Tommy Hill has got John Reynolds to deal with. That is Glenn Richards on the Hawk Kawasaki at the back of this 5-way battle. Still out front, the immaculate Michael Rutter. I think I can still use that word after he slings it up the road in race 1 today. Watching this at the moment, Neil, I mean, we sit here quite calm. You know, it's like everybody's just holding station until they get towards a part of this particular race that they can pull the pin and go for it at. Would you say your reading of it?
First Tommy Hill. Started quite early on that, just got worse as he was going up the hill. I think track grip is not quite as good as it was. The temperature's been rising all day long, and it's a completely different track now as it was to the last few days. And you can see all these riders have big moments, apart from Michael Rutter so far, but Scott Smart, JR, Tommy Hill, a big moment there. And I think the track is just getting their attention in a few spots.
Michael Rutter had no big problems in race 1 until he had a big problem in race 1. So Rutter, despite the fact he looks like the smoothest man out on a racetrack, you never quite know with motorcycle racing, especially at this level. Rutter, immaculate. That HM Plant Honda just looks so good. Winning out of the box at Silverstone in round 1, and now challenging still for this championship. There's a long way left still to go in this series. Michael Rutter blotted his copybook in race 1 today. Admits to it being his fault completely. But a race win in race 2 today is just what he needs to allay those butterflies and to keep Honda happy. Still Scott Smart in 2nd place. Whoa, now it's Glenn Richards that's up out of the seat with the rear end of that Hawk Kawasaki spinning like mad. Rob Mack to the right there. So Big Rob makes his way to the pit wall to no doubt encourage Tommy Hill to well, go as hard as he can, but keep the thing on the road, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think so far this season Tommy's a fairly consistent rider, fairly safe rider. Hasn't been off that bike a great deal, and once he gets a feel for things, made a good start, and that's what's going to give him the result. He's had a good start, the run with the guys. As Steve said, just running with these guys, he's learning a lot, and he'll take that to the next time he rides the bike. Glenn Richards is the guy. He's fitted a harder rear tyre. I take it was a harder rear tyre that he was fitted compared to race 1, and you can see him getting a bit sideways there. Maybe not the best choice.
No, it certainly doesn't look like it. Although he does say he's got the same tyre on that Scott's got on, and Scott doesn't seem to be having the same trouble with it. Obviously, the way the bike's set up is
completely different riding styles.
Not suiting him at all as it is at the minute. So maybe a little bit of desperation there, going for the tyre that Scott's got in. And it's not really paying off at this moment in time. It might come into its own though as we get moving on, you never know. Rutter still leads by 0.7 of a second from Scott Smart. Well, that's what it says on my monitor, although it looks a lot closer than that to me.
Well, John Reynolds, number 2 out there, he's the guy with the fastest lap, and these last few laps he's just been chipping away, a couple of tenths here and a couple of tenths there, getting closer to Scott Smart, and this time Michael Rutter not disappearing into the distance.
I think that was the disappointment of JR in race 1, was the fact that he'd done all the hard work, he'd got it absolutely right, he closed in, he'd taken that lead when Michael Rutter bounced off out of there, but he was just a little slack. And what did you call him? Did he misunderstood whatever Scott Smart was capable of doing.
Underestimated.
Underestimated, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks for helping me.
Underestimated how hungry he was and how close he was. Scott Smart just didn't give up, and I'm sure JR will be thinking, well, Scott's going to settle for his first podium position, a good second place, which he didn't, and fair play to him.
Would you have settled?
No, definitely not. None of us would.
I've seen some of yours settling for second place.
Yeah.
And the man alongside you. The boys don't settle well. Look at Glenn Richards taking a look at the inside of Tommy Hill there. Tommy Hill on the Virgin Mobile bike. Still in 4th place, but Glenn Richards all over him now as these two are losing contact with the leading 3 riders. Michael Rutter now. Still got Scott Smart in 2nd place on bike 88. Still number 2, John Reynolds in 3rd place. As they have dropped the battling Tommy Hill and Glenn Richards. These now in their own little race for that 4th place honour.
The great thing here is to see that Yamaha riding at the front, and I'm sure Steve sitting next to me is encouraged by what he's seen and looking forward to getting back on that bike.
Well, Steve Plainer, the last time I saw you at Old Park, you had too much pain, I think, but you look a little bit more relaxed here, but the injury is going to take 3 races to fix, or 3 race meetings to fix.
Yeah, 3 meetings. It's not so much the brake of the radius, it's a little bit of nerve damage in the hand as well, so we just want to give it enough time and come back 100% rather than trying to ride these big monstrous things around and off the pace.
So we're looking at Tommy Hill. Virgin Mobile Yamaha. Good style the way he's finding his way around here as well. He's looking for the fast way out of the turns. Scott Smart getting it all a bit squirrely now on the Kawasaki. John Reynolds looking smooth, as is Michael Rutter, your race leader. Well, Reynolds.
Bit of deja vu here from race 1.
Indeed.
And Reynolds' teammate Kageyama, he's made a really bad start, but up to 6th position now. And Kieran Clark's still hanging on there in 7th. Sean Emmett, who we've mentioned very little today on the Monster Mob Ducati, again struggling down in 8th position.
As far as the privateers are concerned, James Buchanan leads from the injured Dennis Hobbs. So Dennis Hobbs with the ankle injury is in 2nd place in the Privateer Cup, the Superbike Cup. And John Kirkham is 3rd in that battle at the moment. And they are glued together out on the racetrack too. So those 3 are really in a Superbike Cup battle as we look at the BSB Think British Superbike Championship battle at the front of the field. Rutter now easing away. 0.7 of a second was his lead as he came across the line last time. I'll hazard a guess at it being a fraction more than that this time around. Scott Smart has got a very smooth Rizzler Suzuki behind him.
Yeah, as JR's settled down a bit, just let things get working, let him find a bit of a rhythm, and in the first race, the second half of the race was when he was at his strongest, when the bike was working best, when that rear tyre was at its best. So I expect him to make a bit of progress from now on. And as was Scott Smart, the second half of the race was when he came good and closed the gap between himself and Michael Rutter.
Yeah, we never really found out the reason why Michael Rutter was just slipping back into the clutches of the Kawasaki and the Suzuki boys. I mean, he was down, his lead was down to a second and a bit in race 1, and we never really found out what that reason was for.
Michael Rutter's pace was consistent. It was more like the Dunlops were improving as the race was going on.
So Michael Rutter, it's 0.9 of a second now, his lead over Scott Smart as they came over the start and finish line. That's what our monitor says. So Rutter doing it nice and gently as John Reynolds, that's a classy move, just found the drive, then laid it up the inside of Scott Smart. Nice move. Now we're going to see what Michael Rutter's made of, because John Reynolds is through. He's made the pass, and he's now going to chip away nicely as we're on half distance in this race. So he's got a long time to go to close in Michael Rutter. Rutter will get the board that tells him it's now JR that's closing in. And this is how it was done. Just kept the power right on up the inside of Scott Smart. Scott Smart looked for the line down into the left-hander. It was a lovely move, wasn't it?
Nice clean manoeuvre.
Scott Smart looked for the cutback, but it was full of John Reynolds on the Rizzler Suzuki. Now then, this boy's got a race on. Back marker coming into view. Hopefully he will be seen. John Reynolds just making it sit up a fraction there. Yeah, back marker moves to one side.
Sensibly getting out of the way now. Over the line in the last lap, it's 0.9 of a second. Coming up to the last turn here, let's just see if JR's any closer.
Paul Denning on the right of your picture, Neil Tuxworth in the middle of your picture. That is your Suzuki and Honda bosses, respectively. Or respectfully, should I say. Reynolds.
1.4 is the gap.
Yeah, it's a bigger gap, but of course JR had to contend with getting past Scott Smart. Now is where I think we need to see whether JR can reel in Reynolds and indeed tow Scott Smart up as well, because Scott Smart was doing that all on his own in second place for a long time. So Honda versus Suzuki versus Kawasaki. Kawasaki, as we have said so many times, the least developed motorcycle of this year's Think British Superbike Championship. Not that you would guess it. And you heard Stuart Hicking, which is very unusual for any team to give so much praise technically to a rider for the development of their motorcycle.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I'm really impressed with the effort Scott Smart puts in. We all as riders will do whatever it takes, but the fact that he's got that information, that knowledge on the technical setup, wiring looms, the Motec engine management system is very impressive and very unusual for a rider to be skilled in all these areas. I wasn't really skilled in any area.
I was going to say that's a sideways swipe, but the rest of us that just weren't clever enough at all of it.
I was half decent at getting a bike around a racetrack, but that was where it ended, and pretty much the rest of my life.
You're still getting them around fairly quickly, so you can't odds that. Now then, the man who's got to get it round a fraction quicker is John Reynolds at the moment, if he's going to close in on Michael Rutter.
He's certainly dropped off Scott Smart a little bit.
Yeah, but the times on that last lap, 1:41.4 for Rutter, 1:41.7 for Reynolds,
he's closer.
1:42 for Smart. We'll wait and see whether it works on this lap.
Let's see what 1.4 seconds turns into.
Well, it's obviously going to be a little bit closer, but is it that JR's going faster or Michael Rutter went slower? JR faster. So JR 1:40.9. He sticks in there and drops it down to just under a second of a distance between him and Michael Rutter, your race leader on bike 3. 2 there, John Reynolds working nicely hard. And there is the graphic that tells you that 0.547 of a second faster was John Reynolds than the race leader Michael Rutter. We're on lap 11 of 18. A long way still to go in this. And really, you've not got to do it all in one lap, have you? You've got to really chip away at it every lap, otherwise there's just going to be no tyres left in the Suzuki.
Yeah, JR's working the rear end of that bike hard. You can see the rear suspension pumping there coming out of that left-hander. JR working really hard, but comfortable. You can see he's getting closer to Michael. Of course, he didn't race with Michael in the first race, so that's the way he's going to pass him. Will be a different matter, but JR is pretty much on the limit of the
Yeah, I was going to say that's just slithering away from him under power there on that long left-hander, but he's right there with Michael Rutter now. Rutter will not only know that he's there from his pit board, pretty soon he's going to be able to hear him, and then pretty soon he's going to see his shadow. Well, it was an early start for these boys this morning compared with the normal run of Think British Superbike Racing. Starting work at 12:15 today for race 1. It's going to be an early finish too. John Reynolds, though, is going to be looking to try and get it all right here in race 2. These two in front, giving the opportunity to Scott Smart to take his very first ever British Superbike win in race 1 today. Scott Smart picking up the opportunity perfectly, but looking like he's not on the pace of these two as we come into the closing stages of this race now, or should I say the last third of this race now.
Well, John Reynolds just set the fastest lap.
1:40.731. The gap is down to half a second now between Rutter, the leader, and Reynolds in second place.
Michael Rutter couldn't been to do different racetracks in 2 weekends. The Northwest, the fastest racetrack in the world, pretty much round public roads, the 9-mile public road circuit, to this, the tightest and twisty of the BSB, the Think British Superbike races of the year.
He don't do it bad though, does he, Michael Rutter? Vastly experienced now on all tracks. And like I said earlier, he went from hero to zero as far as Honda were concerned after setting the fastest ever recorded time at the Northwest 200, 201.5 miles an hour in the run out to University Corner at the Northwest course up in the north of Ireland, of course. They did a bit of testing here last week with the Honda and made it stick. That's why they came out of the box fairly quickly here at Mondello, despite having never had that motorcycle here and despite having no Michelin data whatsoever as far as the tyres were concerned. But of course last year it was JR and Yukio Kakayama that looked so good here. And again it's John Reynolds that is looking like the man to beat, really, despite the fact he's in second place at the minute. He's done it all right. He's caught right up with Michael Rutter. He's still going to pass him, but it's never easy. Where do you reckon the pass might come from, Neil?
I'm not quite sure. I have to say it's very difficult till he gets on the back of them to see exactly where he is faster, but John will be sussing that out as he's getting closer. He'll be seeing the sections of the racetrack where he's closing in on him. JR, maybe not the strongest rider on the brakes, but just have to wait and see.
Still thinking about your Think rider of the day as well, I hope, at the moment. Tommy Hill has dropped to 5th place now. Glenn Richards is in 4th place at this moment in time. Kakayama is in 6th place. That's how it looks, back for 4th, 5th and 6th. Sean Emmett is up into 7th place in front of Kieran Clark. Another good ride from young Kieran as well, in 8th place. James Buckingham now has a clear lead in the Superbike Cup Series in 9th place overall, but the 25 points for the Superbike Cup Series goes to him at the minute from Craig Coxall on the Pirelli shod V-Trans Honda Fireblade. He's in 10th place. Still looking at Michael Rutter. Really, you'd think they were out for a country afternoon ride round in the sunshine here on the Emerald Isle, wouldn't you? Because neither of them look like they're going to put a foot wrong, but they are travelling around here at below lap record speeds, and they look so belyingly smooth.
They do. Well, that is the key round here, I'm sure, just to keep it smooth. There's a lot of grip out there. There's also a lot of bumps and tight corners, but keeping it smooth is the key. But believe me, these guys are on the limit, both in the low 41s. John Reynolds, the closest he's ever been to Michael Rutter this weekend.
Still Scott Smart in 3rd place, the race 1 winner on the Kawasaki, seemingly out of this equation at the moment, but as I think 1 or 2 people have said already, anything can happen here at Mondello, and it certainly has.
These two bikes pretty evenly matched horsepower-wise, because Michael Rutter on the Michelin, John Reynolds on the Dunlops. And John Reynolds seeming to take wider lines, certainly a bit later going in, squaring him up and pulling the bike up on the exit of the corners. Michael Rutter having a much more flowing line round the track.
Well, Steve Plater is still here in the commentary position with us at the moment, taking 3 races off, 3 race meetings off from BSB. Steve, I mean, watching these two, it's a study of expertise at the moment, isn't it, from these two? What's going to make the difference, do you think?
Well, they're pretty much at the moment, they're just like sat on a pair of armchairs watching each other, you know. JR's obviously trying to put Michael under some pressure, and hopefully he'll make a mistake so he can slide past. But around this circuit, it's so tight and twisty, it's very, very hard to make a move when 2 guys are on the same sort of pace. 3rd and 4th guys, Scott Smart and Glenn Richards, they're pretty much on the same sort of pace, really. Not a massive difference, but good to see Stuart Easton up in 14th and pushing a bit harder this race and growing in confidence.
Yeah, Stuart Easton, good shout there, Steve. I've got to say, Stuart Easton is now up behind James Hayden on the other Yamaha, back in 13th place. Easton in 14th place, so he's going to get points today. But it has been a disastrous time for him here at Mondello Park. He really has had his head dropped. More about Stuart Easton, I'm sure you'll read about it in the papers coming up. But right now, our concentration has to go with these two. We're on lap 14 of the 18. And you've got to say, JR just looks like he's hunting down John Reynolds. He's just hunting down Michael Rutter, just hanging on in there, not willing to show his hand just yet.
Yeah, Kakayama up to 5th, as Steve Plater points out. He's still on the charge, a bit of a late charge, but pretty impressive. Yeah, JR sitting behind Michael Rutter. I mean, if they finished in this position, JR would have increased his championship lead by 15 points due to what happened in the first race, but I'm sure that's maybe not the plan. He's just going to sit there. Steve says if Michael makes a mistake, that would be a perfect opportunity, but Michael's looking pretty smooth at the moment.
Well, he don't make many mistakes, but sometimes, if I look back to the Northwest 200 again, just a couple of years ago, fact 3 years ago, Michael Rutter fell twice on the Superbikes for no given reason when he was unpressured and so on. Maybe he needs the pressure of a rider right behind him to just keep his attention. Perhaps he gets a little bit too blasé, maybe.
Definitely focuses you. I've seen Michael go down in front. He went down at Snetterton last year, fell down in front of me once at Old Park in the wet, and he was absolutely away with the race. But I think it really does help if you're focused, if you've got the pressure on, and you ride a better race.
Pressure is on. It's coming from the Rizzo Suzuki of John Reynolds. He's right there with Michael Rutter. Will there be a pass, or is this how they're going to finish? Scott Smart is in a good, safe third place at the moment. His teammate Glenn Richards is fourth. Yukio Kagayama, it's been a bit of a slow start for him, but he's slowly making his way up. He's up into fifth place now. He's just displaced Tommy Hill on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha, who's having a great ride. Seventh place, Sean Emmett, he's been there for some time. Kieran Clark, another Yamaha rider, having a good ride here today. James Buckingham, best of the privateers, and a big shout out to James Buckingham. He really has had a great day here at Mondello, and well, I think we're going to see a bit more from him in the course of the rest of this year, because his confidence must be brimming after today. Craig Coxall, Dennis Hobbs and John Kirkham are on our leaderboard, but only just. Michael Rutter a bit hot into the last turn there as he comes to start lap 16 of the 18. Can't really, when you've got riders of this quality, that they're so smooth, you really can't see where it's going to come from or go to result-wise, can you? You can't really see where they're going to make a mistake or how much of performance they can get from their motorcycles anywhere around the racetrack. It just looks like they're stuck on rails.
Well, at the moment, John Reynolds definitely needs to be closer to pull a move. He's got a couple of laps, or 2.5 laps to make a move on John Reynolds, but he needs to make a move on Michael Rutter, but he needs to be closer than this. It looks like, at the moment, Michael Rutter's responding to the pressure.
Well, 1:41.4 was Michael Rutter's time last time round. 1:41.6 was John Reynolds' time last time round. 1:41.9 was third place Scott Smart's time last time round. So pretty consistent lap times. But Steve Plater, your views on JR? I mean, is he going to settle for this second place? Does he look like he's settled for this second place in your view?
Well, track temperature is actually the highest it's been over the 3 days of racing and practicing here. It's 41 this afternoon, so maybe JR's got a bit of a tyre issue and not quite so much grip. If that's the case, maybe he's happy to finish just those 5 points behind and go away with a profitable weekend.
Profitable, but I venture to add, possibly disappointing for him.
Race wins, but not championship.
Points make prizes, mate. Rack 'em up.
Yeah, coming from your voice when you sat here in the commentary position, yeah, I can just imagine how you'd be out there, sick as the proverbial pig.
Yeah, John Reynolds not a happy bunny, and I think he was so mad, so fuming. You could see in the opening laps that was actually turning into mistakes. He was so pumped up to get away and win this one, and it really was having a negative effect. And once he settled down, he's been okay, but it looks like at the moment Michael Rutter is etching a little bit of a lead. A couple of tenths every lap now, Michael Rutter's pulling away from John Reynolds.
I would actually hazard to say that John Reynolds, as far as I'm concerned, is even more aggressive than the younger Neil McKenzie.
Probably so. It's actually, for me, John Reynolds beat me on the last corner at Brands Hatch in 2002 in front of Richard Branson when I was riding on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha then, so really I ought to buy Scott Smart a drink tonight.
But being Steve Plater, you won't. So then, Michael Rutter out front. I just got clouted by your girlfriend here in the commentary position. Rutter, though, is looking now like he's just sticking that 1:41.6, 1:41 and a bit in all the time, every single lap. Rutter is the most consistent man out there lap time-wise. John Reynolds now slipping from the pace into the 42s, and that shows as far as this distance is concerned. I don't know what the reasons are. I'm sure JR is disappointed to be in second place again today, but at the end of the day, as Neil McKenzie has already quite rightly pointed out, points make prizes, and slinging it up the road would only cause the same effect as Michael Rutter has had on the Honda team after race one.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling now because his pace was faster at the end of race one, and as Steve says, it could be a track temperature
issue.
Problem.
Michelin versus Dunlop, both tyres hanging in there very, very well. John Reynolds settled on second place. Still Scott Smart in third place. Still his teammate Glenn Richards in fourth place. Yukio Kagayama looks settled now in fifth place. In fact, he's got 6 seconds to make up on this final lap if he wants to pinch another place. So don't expect that. But he has a nice, safe 4-second cushion over sixth place man Tommy Hill. Michael Rutter. Classy, looking so cool, calm and collected. on the HM Plant Honda has done it absolutely perfectly right. Led virtually from turn 1.
John Reynolds dropped off a long way. I can't see him in the background.
Well, he's done another 40. He did a 43 on that last lap, but he has a 3.5 second cushion over Scott Smart in third place. I don't expect Scott Smart to be able to, well, depending on his problem, of course, to be able to pinch 3.5 seconds in a lap. But I could be proved completely wrong. It could be the worst day John Reynolds has had in British Superbike this year. Well, mixed feelings are going to be from the Honda camp. There is John Reynolds still right there on it, and Scott Smart isn't sneaking up to his shoulder in the closing stages as he did in race 1 to pinch the win. But Rutter, just a short distance to go then on this last lap. It's going to be Michael Rutter this time. Nil point for race 1, having slung himself over the handlebars while trying to maintain his lead in race 1. Race 2, it's all been a nice, smooth, quality affair from Michael Rutter and the Honda. Honda have obviously now got the motorcycle absolutely how they want it. They've got the clutch to work. New parts have meant that he got perfect launches from both starts. Yes, he says, 25 points are mine. The championship is still on track for Michael Rutter. He will still have to close down John Reynolds bit by bit, who gets the result of the last race we just saw. Michael Rutter took the win from John Reynolds. Reynolds fading in the closing stages. Scott Smart, a third place to go with his opening win ever in British Superbikes. Glenn Richards, his teammate, 4th. Yukio Kageyama, 5th. Tommy Hill, Sean Emmett and Kieran Clark rounding out the top 8. Craig Coxall, James Buckingham, the best of the privateers for the Superbike Cup, 25 points. Dennis Hobbs, 2nd in that series at this point. That's how it looks, the top 16 there. Championship, 207 points for John Reynolds. Michael Rutter on 174. Yukio Kageyama 3rd. Let's take